Hello AmericansChannel. This video is made by free videos from Storyblocks, and these images and video we use just for explanation, and it's free use also.
A wolf visits a man daily at the same time the reason leaves him speechless. From the shadowy edge of the distant tree line, a lone gray wolf emerged, its movements cautious as it approached Albert, seated in his usual spot by the waterfront. Yet instead of fear, the wolf exuded a quiet curiosity as though drawn to the old man's presence. Albert, equally intrigued, welcomed the creature with a calm demeanor. In that moment, an unspoken bond seemed to form between them. Day after day, the wolf returned, its presence becoming a strange yet comforting ritual. Still, Albert couldn't shake the feeling that there was something deeper at play, something he had yet to understand. The first time Albert spotted the wolf, a jolt of fear shot through him. He was completely alone with no one nearby to hear his cries for help. Fortunately, as an old man with years of experience, this wasn't his first encounter with a wolf. He knew exactly how to respond. As the wolf edged closer, Albert rose to his feet with deliberate calm and spread open his coat, making himself appear larger and more imposing. His heart pounded in his chest, but he refused to let fear consume him. He hadn't survived this long just to fall prey to a wolf. Summoning his courage, he began shouting and making loud noises, hoping to drive the beast away. Yet instead of retreating, the wolf sat down calmly before him, its piercing eyes locking onto his. Albert's frantic efforts faltered, and he found himself captivated by the strange and unexpected encounter. Whenever Albert sat on the bench, the wolf lingered nearby, quietly observing him. This wasn't a rare occurrence. Albert visited that bench almost every day, and each time, the wolf would approach and sit beside him. It became such a regular sight that the locals living near the park began to talk about it, intrigued by the unusual bond between man and beast. One morning, as Albert approached the bench, he noticed the wolf was already there, waiting for him, but something was different. The wolf's usually gentle eyes were filled with fear, and its body trembled ever so slightly. Albert sat down across from it, his gaze soft and understanding. For the first time, he reached out his hand, offering a gentle touch to the uneasy creature. For reasons he couldn't explain, Albert felt no fear. The wolf had never displayed any signs of aggression toward him. Why would it start now? Onlookers froze in place, their eyes fixed on the scene, waiting to see what the wolf would do next. Slowly, the animal leaned forward, sniffing Albert's outstretched hand. Then, with deliberate care, it opened its jaws and gently enclosed his hand within them. Gasps rippled through the crowd, but Albert quickly reassured everyone the wolf wasn't harming him in the slightest. Its grip was surprisingly soft, nothing like the vicious bite one might expect. "What do you want?" Albert asked, fully aware the wolf couldn't answer. In response, the creature stepped back a few paces, still gently holding Albert's hand in its jaws. In an instant, Albert understood what the wolf wanted. It was trying to show him something. As Albert rose to his feet, the wolf released his hand and began to stride away. After a few steps, it paused and glanced back, realizing Albert wasn't keeping up. The old man moved at a slower pace, unable to match the wolf's swift movements. Grasping his cane, Albert began trailing the wolf along the water's edge. Onlookers were left speechless, watching as the wolf strolled calmly ahead with Albert close behind. "That's an unusual pet you've got there," a man called out from across the street. Albert chuckled, responding with a grin. "This one's wild." The horrified expressions around him only seemed to energize Albert. He chuckled whenever a child pointed in his direction and merely shrugged when questioned about their destination. Upon reaching the outskirts of town, the wolf quickened its pace. Albert struggled to keep up, his breath growing short with every step. Albert's town was nestled between dense forests on one side and vast open water on the other. Perched near a rugged cliff, the town lacked a sandy beach, replaced instead by towering rocks. It was toward these cliffs that the wolf seemed to be heading. Albert couldn't help but wonder why the wolf had ventured out of the forest at all. What had drawn it to the cliffs? As they approached the cliffs, the wolf suddenly broke into a run. Albert, however, was far too old to keep up. He pushed himself to walk as quickly as possible, but his pace was no match for the wolf's speed. Before long, the wolf disappeared from sight, leaving Albert breathless and momentarily still. After catching his breath, he pressed on with renewed determination. He wasn't about to give up that easily. When Albert reached the cliffs, he paused to take in his surroundings. The area was eerily quiet, save for the rhythmic crash of waves against the jagged rocks far below. He stood alone, scanning the landscape for any sign of the wolf. Scratching his head in frustration, he saw nothing but a few birds circling overhead. the place appeared lifeless. Just as he was about to turn back, the sharp crack of a gunshot shattered the stillness, making him jump. Albert jolted in shock, nearly losing his balance as the gunshot echoed alarmingly close. Heart racing, he moved quickly, though his version of running was more akin to a brisk walk toward the source of the sound. However, he froze and crouched low when he spotted a man in camouflage attire. The man stooped to retrieve a bird from the ground, lifting it carefully for inspection. The forest was a popular hunting ground, so Albert wasn't startled to come across a hunter. However, it seemed odd to see the man so close to the cliffs, as the larger game typically roamed deeper within the woods. As the hunter walked off, a bird slung over his shoulder, Albert's eyes caught sight of something concealed in the distance. Albert's gaze locked onto something unusual, a tail protruding from behind a nearby tree. There was no mistaking it, it was the wolf's tail. Driven by a mix of eagerness and caution, Albert began moving toward the concealed figure. The forest air was dense with the scent of pine and the sharp tang of a recent gunshot heightening his vigilance. Yet, his focus remained steady to reach his four-legged companion without causing it further alarm. The moment the hunter vanished from view, Albert quickened his steps toward the wolf. The creature remained motionless as if paralyzed in place. Albert's heart pounded not with fear but with genuine concern for the animal. Drawing closer, he moved with deliberate care, minimizing every sound to avoid startling the already wary wolf any further. The wolf trembled, its body taut with fear from the echo of the gunshot. But the moment it spotted Albert, everything changed. Its once wide alarmed eyes softened, glinting with recognition and perhaps even relief. In that silent, profound instant, the bond between man and beast was unmistakable, a testament to the unusual connection forged through their shared encounters. With the wolf now at his side, Albert continued their journey, though at a slower, more cautious pace. His gaze swept the surroundings, ever vigilant for other hunters, acutely aware of the danger looming over both him and the wolf in this territory. The wolf, still visibly shaken, remained close, its movements steady and its senses sharpened to every sound and shadow. Together they carefully navigated the forest's edge, advancing methodically toward the cliffs. As the wolf reached the forest's edge, it abruptly veered toward the cliffs. Without hesitation, it leapt into the void. Albert froze, stunned by the sudden turn of events. His heart pounded as dread tightened its grip on him. Rushing to the cliff's edge, he braced for the worst, desperately clinging to a sliver of hope that a miracle awaited below. No! Albert's shout ricocheted off the cliffs, sharp and desperate. Dread clawed at his chest as he braced for the worst, only to be met with an unexpected sight. Rushing to the edge, he spotted the wolf below, perched securely on a lower rock, its piercing eyes locked onto his, almost as if to say, "What are you waiting for? Come down." Albert's heart thundered in his chest. This was far from what he'd anticipated when he decided to follow the wolf out here. The wolf's piercing gaze beckoned, yet Albert hesitated. He glanced down at the sheer drop below, doubt creeping in as he questioned whether his aging, less agile body could endure the descent. Standing at the cliff's edge, he faced a pivotal moment, a reckoning of both will and ability. The weight of the decision pressed on him, each second stretching as he contemplated the physical trial that lay ahead. "What the heck?" Albert muttered under his breath. His thoughts drifted to the quiet solitude. His life had become no family, no friends, just an endless stretch of stillness. Chasing a wolf through the wilderness was the most thrilling thing he'd done in years. For the first time in what felt like forever, a spark of his former daring self stirred within him. Whether it was reckless bravery or simply a yearning for something greater, he felt alive again, if only for a moment. Albert stood at the cliff's edge, his gaze shifting between the wolf below and the boundless expanse surrounding him. If this was to be his final act, it would certainly be unforgettable. The thought brought a wry smile to his face. Leaping off cliffs wasn't exactly a common pursuit for someone his age, yet it stirred a sense of nostalgia. It reminded him of his younger days, brimming with adrenaline and daring adventures. This moment felt like a tribute to those bold times. Albert took a deep breath and cast his doubts aside along with his cane, which he flung over the edge of the cliff. Summoning a mix of courage and just a hint of recklessness, he leapt. The landing was far from elegant. His feet met the rock, but his balance failed him, sending him sprawling onto his back. The impact was jarring, yet he lay there laughing, caught between the absurdity of his leap and the exhilaration pounding in his chest. Albert lay on the ground, laughing at himself. "What on earth am I doing?" he muttered, his chuckles blending with the steady crash of waves below. There was no turning back now, not after he had leapt off a cliff in pursuit of a wolf. He glanced upward, quickly realizing that scaling the sheer rock face was far beyond his abilities at his age. Yet, as the wolf stood ahead beckoning him forward, his worries melted away. Albert glanced back at the cliff, a flicker of fear gripping him as he took in the dizzying height he had leapt from. Climbing back up was no longer an option. Yet, his apprehension quickly gave way to curiosity as the wolf stirred, resuming its path ahead. Albert's adventurous spirit reignited, banishing any lingering thoughts of turning back. The wolf sprang gracefully from the rocks, its movements agile and precise, leading them toward a secluded beach tucked beneath the cliffs. As Albert gazed down the path, he realized this hidden place had escaped his knowledge entirely. The beach's isolation, combined with the rhythmic crash of waves against the shore, stirred something within him, a deep sense of wonder and the thrill of discovery. With renewed curiosity, he prepared to follow the wolf's lead. Albert cautiously began his descent to the beach, carefully following the wolf's trail as closely as possible. The path was perilous, with slick rocks constantly testing his balance. Each step demanded his full concentration, a silent prayer accompanying every move to avoid a misstep or injury. With every successful foothold, a blend of relief and anticipation stirred within him, drawing him closer to the secluded shore. As Albert approached the beach, his hand brushed against the jagged edge of a rock, leaving a deep gash. Blood began to flow freely, instantly catching the wolf's attention. The sharp sting of the wound made Albert grimace, but the wolf's watchful, almost concerned gaze offered an unexpected sense of reassurance. Despite the injury, an unspoken bond was forming, a quiet understanding between man and beast. The wolf stepped closer to Albert, its nose quivering as it caught the scent of his bleeding hand. It began to lick the wound, but Albert instinctively drew back, concerned about the risk of infection. For a moment, their eyes met and an unspoken connection passed between them. Though Albert acknowledged the wolf's gesture of trust, he knew he needed to treat the injury properly to prevent complications. Relying on his military training, Albert acted decisively. He tore a strip from his shirt, rinsed the wound with the sharp sting of salty seawater, and tightly wrapped the fabric around his hand. The salt burned, but it was a small sacrifice to ward off infection. With his makeshift bandage in place, a sense of calm returned, and he felt ready to face the next chapter of this unforeseen adventure. After tending to his wound, Albert noticed the wolf observing him with calm, measured patience. It sniffed the makeshift bandage with quiet curiosity before turning away, as if signaling it was time to continue. Albert followed, his curiosity deepening with every step. Though the events were far from what he had anticipated, he felt an unspoken bond forming, a quiet pact of mutual respect and understanding between man and beast. Their path brought them to the entrance of a small, unassuming cave. Without hesitation, the wolf slipped inside, and Albert, driven by curiosity, trailed close behind, eager to uncover what the creature intended to reveal. The cave's entrance was partially submerged in water, compelling Albert to wade through the icy shallows. The chill seeped into his pants, soaking them up to the knees. Yet, the discomfort barely registered, dwarfed by the irresistible pull of the mystery that awaited within. As Albert stepped into the cave, the icy water soaked through his clothes, sending a sharp chill up his spine. He pressed on, wading deeper as the wolf led him further into the darkness. The cave seemed to consume them, its shadows quickly swallowing the fading light from the entrance. Albert soon realized this was more than just a physical journey, it was a test of his courage and his readiness to face the unknown. The cave was shrouded in pitch-black darkness, cold and damp, posing a daunting challenge for Albert. With no modern convenience like a smartphone to illuminate his path, he had to depend on traditional methods to navigate the shadows. He paused, allowing his eyes to adjust to the gloom, and carefully considered his next move. Nearby, the wolf waited silently, its eyes glinting with faint light from the cave's entrance. As Albert's eyes adjusted to the dim light, he spotted something unexpected, a torch mounted on the wall. Its presence implied they weren't the first to explore this cave. This small yet significant detail hinted at a deeper history and purpose to the place, one Albert hadn't anticipated. Though it brought a slight sense of reassurance, it also stirred new questions about what might lie ahead. Albert's smoking habit, for once, proved unexpectedly useful. He pulled out his lighter, struck a flame, and ignited the torch. The fire flared to life, its warm glow dancing across the cave walls and illuminating the jagged details within. With the torch in hand, a renewed sense of confidence washed over him. The journey ahead remained uncertain, but at least now he could see the path before him. As the torchlight flickered, the cave came alive before Albert's eyes. This was no ordinary cavern, it was a tunnel, unmistakably shaped by human hands. The realization sent a thrill through him. He was standing in a man-made structure, hidden deep beneath the surface. Questions swirled in his mind: who had crafted this passage and for what purpose? The walls bore the unmistakable marks of tools, each groove a testament to effort and intention. Intrigued and determined, Albert couldn't wait to delve deeper into the mystery. The wolf strode forward with unwavering confidence, effortlessly navigating the tunnel. Each step was deliberate, carefully avoiding holes and slick patches as though it had traversed this path countless times before. Albert followed close behind, mesmerized by the creature's apparent familiarity with the passage. The wolf's assured movements only deepened Albert's curiosity. What link could this enigmatic animal have to the mysterious tunnel? Albert held the torch high, its warmth pushing back against the cave's icy air. His feet, however, weren't as fortunate. Each step came with the cold, unpleasant squish of water trapped in his shoes, a constant nagging reminder of the hardships of his journey. Yet, the torch's flickering light and comforting heat urged him onward, drawing him deeper into the mysteries of the unknown. As Albert and the wolf reached the end of the tunnel, their journey took yet another unexpected twist. A solid door stood firmly in their way. This was no ordinary door. It was locked, an imposing barrier guarding the secrets that lay beyond. Its sudden appearance deep within the hidden tunnel only heightened the mystery, adding a sense of urgency to their quest and leaving them wondering what awaited on the other side. When the wolf saw the locked door, it turned to Albert, its eyes filled with an almost human-like hope, as if convinced he held the key to unlock it. The sheer absurdity of the moment wasn't lost on Albert, yet he couldn't shake the growing sense of responsibility. The wolf's misplaced trust felt like a silent plea, a call to action he couldn't bring himself to ignore. Confronted by the locked door and with no key in sight, Albert refused to let their journey end here. His eyes swept the area until they landed on a large rock nearby. Though his body ached at the thought of exertion, a surge of adrenaline coursed through him. The resolve to continue, driven by the wolf's unwavering determination, overpowered any fatigue, spurring him into action. Albert gripped the rock with both hands, its rough surface a reminder of both its weight and his years. Yet, as he heaved it upward, a rush of adrenaline coursed through him, fueling his resolve. With a powerful swing, he brought the rock crashing down onto the padlock. The force reverberated through his arms, but the instant gratification of watching the padlock crack under the blow made the effort worthwhile. It was a vivid testament to his relentless determination. No obstacle could break his will to persevere. The metallic clang of the padlock striking the ground echoed through the tunnel, a brief but jarring interruption. Albert couldn't afford to savor this minor triumph. The wolf had already forced its way through the door, relentless in its pursuit. Trailing just behind, Albert entered a chamber where 3 new paths stretched ahead, each concealed behind a door. A surge of anticipation coursed through him, brimming with the unknown possibilities that awaited. As Albert stepped inside, he was struck by the unexpected order of the room, a sharp contrast to the rugged caves and twisting tunnels they had just navigated. Before him stood 3 doors, each shrouded in its own air of mystery. The room felt like a pivotal crossroads, a fleeting moment of clarity in the midst of uncertainty. It was clear they were meant to choose a path, yet the weight of the decision loomed heavily. As Albert's eyes adjusted to the dim light, the room's details gradually revealed themselves. Barrels and wooden crates were stacked with precision, many draped in tarps that hinted at the mysteries they concealed. It was unmistakably a hidden storage space, its purpose shrouded in secrecy. Whatever lay beneath those coverings seemed significant, important enough to be kept far from curious eyes. The air carried an unspoken weight, as if the room held untold stories of treasures or goods purposefully kept out of reach, destined to remain undiscovered. The longer Albert observed, the clearer it became this was no ordinary storage space. It felt like a hidden cache, a place designed to safeguard things meant to remain forgotten. Its location, concealed deep within the cave, hinted at secrets of immense importance locked away within its walls. The mystery grew, cloaking the room in an irresistible, enigmatic silence that seemed to draw him closer with every passing moment. The wolf's demeanor changed as it neared the 3 doors. It sniffed each one carefully, moving from door to door with increasing unease. At last, it paused at the middle door, releasing a soft whine. Its body language conveyed a restless mix of anticipation and apprehension. Albert observed in silence, fully grasping the weight of the wolf's decision. This door was the key, whether it marked the conclusion of their journey or the start of something far greater remained to be seen. The torch rested securely in its wall holder, its flickering light throwing eerie shadows across the room as Albert stepped toward the middle door. His hand brushed the handle, anticipation mounting, only to discover it was firmly locked. In that moment, he realized this journey was far from complete. Frustration simmered, but determination quickly took its place. As he pondered his next move, oblivious to what lay ahead, the oppressive silence of the tunnel prepared to shatter. A sudden shout pierced the silence, its echo reverberating through the tunnel. "Who's out there?" The voice, deep and menacing, carried an unmistakable edge. Heavy footsteps pounded closer, each one vibrating through the ground and into their hidden chamber. Albert's mind raced, his pulse quickening. The hunter had picked up their trail. Panic flickered in his chest, but he forced himself to push it aside. He couldn't afford to falter now. He needed a plan, and quickly, as the sound of the relentless pursuit grew ever closer. Thinking fast, Albert slipped behind a tarp, disappearing into the shadows among forgotten relics and hidden treasures. The wolf, however, neither retreated nor hid. Defiant or perhaps bewildered, it stood firm in the open, unyielding as the hunter stormed into the room. A cold, menacing laugh echoed through the air, sending a shiver down Albert's spine. The hunter hadn't noticed him yet. His focus was locked entirely on the wolf, rifle poised and ready. The hunter's laugh echoed with cruel amusement as he slowly leveled his rifle at the wolf. The air in the room was thick with tension, a standoff between predator and protector, with the wolf helplessly trapped in the middle. Hidden from sight, Albert felt a powerful surge of fear and defiance. He couldn't allow this to happen, not after everything he and the wolf had endured together. Steeling himself, he prepared to act, fully aware of the peril he was about to face. Albert's heart thundered in his chest, each beat urging him to act. He couldn't remain hidden any longer, not while the wolf was in danger. Driven by pure instinct, he sprang out from behind the tarp, his cry tearing through the air like a battle hymn. It was raw, unrelenting, and designed to shatter the hunter's focus. The sudden burst of movement served one purpose: to startle, to divert, to shield his companion from the hunter's lethal aim. It was a desperate gamble, a reckless move, but it was the only one he had. Albert's sudden scream startled the hunter, causing his finger to slip on the trigger. The rifle fired, but the bullet veered off course, missing its mark and instead striking the padlock on the middle door. The sharp crack of shattering metal echoed through the room as the lock broke apart and the door creaked open. Spotting the opportunity, the wolf wasted no time. It bolted through the now open passage, vanishing into the shadows, leaving Albert face to face with the stunned hunter. As the wolf disappeared, Albert stood frozen for a moment, meeting the hunter's bewildered gaze. The man's shock at finding an elderly figure in such an unlikely place was written plainly across his face, but there was no time for explanations. Albert knew he had to act, and fast. The hunter froze, startled by the sight of Albert. Something about attacking a man of his age didn't feel right. Albert, however, had no such hesitations. Driven by a surge of adrenaline and unwavering resolve, he stood ready. With decades of hard-earned experience, he was more than prepared to defend himself and the wolves he had vowed to protect. Albert's eyes locked onto the familiar rock he had wielded before, its weight grounding him with certainty. In one swift motion, he brought it down on the hunter's head. The blow wasn't fatal, but it did its job. The hunter swayed, then crumpled to the ground, unconscious. Albert stood over him, chest heaving, the immediate threat subdued. But there was no time to linger. Somewhere out there, the wolf still needed him. Moments after the hunter fell to the ground, the wolf stepped cautiously out from the middle door. This time, she wasn't alone. 3 small wolf pups padded close behind her, their tiny paws hesitant yet full of trust. The sight was nothing short of heartwarming. The mother wolf's eyes shone with gratitude as she guided our pups toward freedom, her every movement a blend of strength and tenderness. Albert watched the scene unfold, a warm smile spreading across his face. In that moment, he understood this journey was never just about survival. It was a tale of family, resilience, and rescue. As the wolf emerged into the light with her pups, everything fell into place for Albert. The hunter had taken the young wolves, and their mother had fought tirelessly to save them. The realization struck Albert with a whirlwind of emotions: anger at the hunter's callousness, but also profound relief and joy at the family's reunion. In that moment, he understood that their journey together was no mere coincidence. Driven by the adrenaline of the rescue, Albert tapped into a strength he never knew he possessed. Scaling the rocky terrain with surprising agility, he guided the wolf family to safety. Though wearied by age and the ordeal they had endured, his resolve was unwavering, each step propelled by an unexpected determination. Close behind, the mother wolf and her pups trailed him, their instincts placing faith in the man who had come to their aid. At the summit, Albert and the wolf shared a quiet moment of understanding. Their eyes met, an unspoken exchange of gratitude and respect passing between them. With her pups gathered close, the wolf turned and slipped silently into the forest. Albert remained still, watching her vanish into the shadows, a mix of accomplishment and bittersweet farewell settling over him. He understood their paths were unlikely to cross again. With the adventure now behind him, Albert began his journey back to town. The path seemed longer this time, filled with quiet reflection. He replayed the day's events in his mind, the moments of unexpected bravery, and the unspoken bond forged amidst the threat of danger. It had been an experience unlike any other, a story of courage and compassion that would stay with him forever. Though he doubted he would ever see the wolf again, its memory would remain a part of him. Upon his return, Albert wasted no time reporting the hunter's actions to the authorities. His thorough account resulted in the hunter's arrest, safeguarding the wildlife that called the area home. The tunnel, once a concealed hub of illicit activity, was permanently sealed. Albert felt a deep sense of fulfillment, knowing he had contributed to preserving the forest and protecting its inhabitants. It was a fitting conclusion to an extraordinary day.